Here we are back together again, friends, for another episode of the Juicebox podcast.
Hi, my name's Carolina. I'm 30 years old, turned 30 yesterday, and I have type 1 diabetes.
Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. AG1 is offering my listeners a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/juicebox to get this offer. Are you an adult living with type 1 or the caregiver of someone who is and a U.S. resident? If you are, I'd love it if you would go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox and take the survey. When you complete that survey, your answers are used to move type 1 diabetes research of all kinds. So if you'd like to help with type 1 research, but don't have time to go to a doctor or an investigation, and you want to do something right there from your sofa, this is the way. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. It should not take you more than about 10 minutes. Today's episode of the Juicebox podcast is sponsored by the Contour Next Gen Blood Glucose Meter. This is the meter that my daughter has on her person right now. It is incredibly accurate and waiting for you at contournext.com/juicebox. US Med is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox podcast, and we've been getting our diabetes supplies from US Med for years. You can as well. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Use the link or the number, get your free benefits check, and get started today with US Med. The episode you're about to listen to was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Go check them out right now on Facebook, Instagram, and of course at touchedbytype1.org. Check out that programs tab when you get to the website to see all the great things that they're doing for people living with type 1 diabetes. Touchedbytype1.org.
Hi, my name's Carolina. I'm 30 years old, turned 30 yesterday, and I have type 1 diabetes.
Are you serious that yesterday was your birthday?
Yes, turned 30 yesterday.
Yesterday I recorded with a woman, and she said, today is my birthday.
Oh, yeah, and it was election day. It was a big day.
It was, but what the heck? Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
The two people born on the same day recorded a rather niche podcast a day apart, one on their birthday and one the day after it. I don't like it. I think it's freaky, okay? I just want to say. I'm not okay with anything that's happened so far. Well, happy birthday. How old are you again?
I'm 30.
Congratulations. It's a nice
Thank
age.
you.
Really is. Your hips don't hurt yet?
Yeah,
right?
Yet.
Awesome.
I woke up feeling okay, so we're okay so far.
Oh, you might have named the episode. I woke up feeling okay. I like that. Let's see where this goes. How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was 26.
Oh, what the hell? That's a bummer.
It sure was.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was, 26. I did not see it coming at all. I was losing weight, excused everything away. I was having vision problems. I was just like, oh, I need stronger glasses. I was finishing grad school at the time. So everything, I was just like, I'm stressed. I'm tired. Of course, I'm working full time and in grad school. So everything was excused away. And then the weekend of my graduation, we flew to Pennsylvania for graduation. My parents were there. My parents were like, you look really rough. Like even my dad, and my dad's like, he's the type of guy who like everything's always fine and he doesn't notice those things. And he's like, you look really thin. Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm eating all the time. Like, right. I'm just so fit and losing weight. It's great.
You don't understand. This is me. Yeah. This is Fit Carolina. Okay. Yeah, no, I've been doing Pilates.
Exactly.
By the way, had you been doing anything?
No.
No,
I was
okay.
working full time and in grad school, so I was just doing homework all the time.
I finally found the secret mix of EL fudge to Doritos, and it's working perfectly, Dad. I don't know. I figured the whole thing out.
It's amazing.
Well, so does that strike you when your parents, who are normally not those people, are like, hey, what's wrong with you?
You know, when my dad said something, my mom like worries about everything. So not from her, but when my dad said something, I kind of was like, maybe something's off. And then like the first thing that ran through my mind was like, okay, unexplained weight loss. Do I have cancer? And then I was like, in my head, I was like, if I do have cancer, I'd rather deal with that in a week after graduation, not right now. So I just kind of avoided thinking about it. And then on our plane ride home, I started vomiting. No, I didn't vomit till we landed. And then after that, I just kept vomiting and vomiting. And so eventually went to the ED and they, you know, looked at me and they were like, has anyone ever told you that you have diabetes? And I was like, no, I have never heard those words in my life.
It's only because I don't. Yeah, because I don't have diabetes. I don't know if you know, I'm getting an advanced degree. I'm on my way. I'm taking over the world. So,
yeah. And that was that. You know, right away, I was like maybe 100 pounds at the time. I was pretty small. So they were basically right away, they were like, it's probably type 1. We're going to have to wait for all these test results to come back, but probably type 1. And I was like, I'm a nurse. So I was like, I like begged them in the ED. I was like, can it please be type 2? And they were like, no, probably not.
What about your nursing background in your life made you wish you had type 2, not type 1?
I was a camp nurse back in nursing school for a summer. And the type 1 kids were, maybe needy is the wrong word, but like they needed so much care. Mm-hmm. That was like the closest experience I had to type 1. So I just remember like having to wait. Anytime we had a kid who had type 1, we'd have to take turns like waking up, go prick their fingers overnight. You know, I didn't know about CGMs and all that stuff because none of those kids, I don't know if it was a coincidence, it wasn't that long ago, but nobody had anything like that. So I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to have to prick myself all night for the rest of my life and give these shots. And it just sounded so overwhelming. And I was like, with type 2, I was like, I can fix my diet, eat less of those Doritos that we just talked about, which, you know, now I know a lot more than that. But at the time, that's how I saw it. And I was like, I can go on more walks. I can eat more salads. Like I can do something. Whereas with type 1, I knew there wasn't really anything I could do to, you know, prevent or reverse.
Yeah. So it felt like twofold. Like this is like genetic somehow. I'm not getting rid of this. And functionally, there's a lot of work here.
Yes.
And it's not going to end. It's always going to be this thing. I watched those kids. It felt like a struggle for them. Now I'm going to struggle, that whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, when you asked the lovely people in the emergency department to change over the kind of diabetes you had, did anyone pull out a magic wand and try to help you?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
They were just,
what a bunch of assholes.
The worst.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they just help? Also, I have to get past this in my mind or I'm never going to. I thought for sure that your name was going to have some weird pronunciation that didn't match its spelling.
No.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You're Carolina.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some people say Carolina, and I answer to that too, but I usually go by Carolina.
But your parents were like, that's Carolina.
My parents are Polish. You know,
oh, so is that why it starts with a K? I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, go ahead. What do they say?
Yeah, no. They say, you know, like Karolina. That's how you say it in Polish. So.
Oh, okay. So it's not your parents being like, I just love the South on the East Coast and I wanted to name my kid after it. It's a name that's not an American name.
Correct. It's a super popular Polish name. If you go to Poland, you'll meet Carolinas on like every corner.
Oh, it's the Smith of Poland.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Common.
Look at us getting through all this. When they say it to you, what does it sound like?
Carolina.
Oh, lovely. You don't have an accent of any kind, though.
I don't. I was born here. I was born in the States.
Gotcha. Do you speak Polish? Is Polish a language? Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Polish is a language.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Poland is a country in Europe.
Well, no, I mean, I know it's a country, but I don't know if they like, you know, like, Carolina, that wasn't nice. I mean, like, I don't know everything. I'm just trying to find out. Okay. All right. So here we are, emergency department. I've got type 1 diabetes. Your parents are around, right? Because did you do it while you were visiting or did you wait till you went home to look into it?
Yeah. So I live in Chicago. My parents live in the suburbs. I'm married at this point.
At 26.
And so, yeah, I got married at 24.
Okay.
Which sounds young now, but
Back then, did it feel young? I like you, Carolina. I feel like we're going to be all over the place today. Did it feel young when you were getting married, or were you like, no, I'm so ready for this?
No, I was so ready.
Yeah.
I always say I forever feel 24 because that's when I got married. Nothing really changed after that. So
yeah. So now when you look back, you're like, oh my God, why didn't somebody stop me? Or are you like happy with it?
I'm happy with it. He's the best.
He's the best. He's not the best.
Yeah.
Stop it. He's the best.
He's one of the best. I guess
if I'm the best, how can he be the best?
True.
Yeah.
But I said one of the best.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So me and him, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you telling me? He's got a decent job and he's not an idiot, right?
Yes.
Good
and
job.
Yeah, can't imagine, even going through DKA and everything, without him. So
let's talk more about that then. You were in DKA before you went to the emergency department. And how do you manage all of that? Like what's that run up like? What is it like after you get the diagnosis? You've probably heard me talk about US Med and how simple it is to reorder with US Med using their email system. But did you know that if you don't see the email and you're set up for this, you have to set it up. They don't just randomly call you, but I'm set up to be called if I don't respond to the email because I don't trust myself 100%. So one time I didn't respond to the email and the phone rings at the house. It's like, ring, you know how it works. And I picked it up. I was like, hello. And it was just a recording. It was like, US Med. Doesn't actually sound like that, but you know what I'm saying. It said, hey, I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's basically like, hey, your order's ready. You want us to send it? Push this button if you want us to send it. Or if you'd like to wait, I think it lets you put it off like a couple of weeks or push this button for that. That's pretty much it. I pushed the button to send it. And a few days later, box right at my door. That's it. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get your free benefits checked now and get started with US Med. Dexcom, Omnipod, Tandem, Freestyle. They've got all your favorites. Even that new eyelet pump. Check them out now at usmed.com/juicebox or by calling 888-721-1514. There are links in the show notes of your podcast player and links at juiceboxpodcast.com to US Med and to all of the sponsors. The Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox podcast, and it's entirely possible that it is less expensive in cash than you're paying right now for your meter through your insurance company. That's right. If you go to my link, contournext.com/juicebox, you're going to find links to Walmart, Amazon, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Kroger, and Meijer. You could be paying more right now through your insurance for your test strips and meter than you would pay through my link for the Contour Next Gen and Contour Next test strips in cash. What am I saying? My link may be cheaper out of your pocket than you're paying right now, even with your insurance. And I don't know what meter you have right now. I can't say that. But what I can say for sure is that the Contour Next Gen meter is accurate. It is reliable, and it is the meter that we've been using for years. contournext.com/juicebox. And if you already have a Contour meter and you're buying test strips, doing so through the Juicebox podcast link will help to support the show.
Yeah. So before, I thought they were going to tell me I have cancer. Yeah, they had mentioned before. Yeah. I was like, maybe it's stomach cancer. That's why I'm vomiting. And so that diagnosis came as a shock. So I'm still in shock. It's 2021, so it's still COVID-ish. So they're not letting him spend the night or anything like that, which was really, really hard. That first night, I think I cried like the whole night. The poor CNAs coming in to prick my finger were like, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. I'm just like, it's not going to be okay. But we made it through. And then rather than those moments, the hardest part for me was about 6 months after. I never considered myself to be someone who had anxiety or depression. And 6 months later, I was deep in a hole. I think the first few months I was just like, okay, I'm going to carb count perfectly and I'm going to do everything that I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to be the best diabetic on the planet. And it's going to be great. I'm carb counting. I'm trying to work out. I'm up, I'm down, I'm 40, I'm 250. Nothing's making any sense. And a few months later, I was like, okay, I'm trying so hard and it's not working. And so that's when I kind of, at some point I was like, I don't think I want to live anymore. And having those thoughts really freaked me out. So I found a therapist right away. I was like, I have the tools. I have so much insulin on hand. I don't want to go deeper down this hole. I don't like myself like this. Like, that's not me. But I was in that place, and that was really, really hard. So, for my husband to be there for me through all of that and, just support me and be like, okay, what do you need? Try to lighten the mood when I was upset. And then at the same time, not like, when I'm having a hard time, just really being there for me was like, that's what marriage is, right? So it was so important. And at some point I was like, we're not even ever going to have kids, because what if I pass this down to them? Yes. And he just let me process how I needed to process, didn't try to talk me out of anything or pressure me in any way.
Have you ever wondered if he was just sitting there quietly thinking like, how long do I have to wait before I leave her?
I hope not.
I'm sure he wasn't. I'm teasing.
But probably at some point.
He's like, oh, no. You're like, oh, look how understanding he's being. And in his mind, he's like, so there's how much money in the bank account? No, that's lovely. It's really awesome. So how long did you have like your head like a hole moment? Oh, look at me, 9 Inch Nails. Is that what I just did? Head like a hole, black as your, yeah. Oh, I'd rather die than give you control. Is that how you felt?
Yeah.
I wonder what this song's about. You think Trent Reznor wrote this about you? Like,
perhaps.
But 20 years ago? I mean, how old is this? Do you even know this song?
No.
Holy Christ, you're young. You don't know Head Like a Hole from 9 Inch Nails?
No.
All right. But
my parents were foreign, so sometimes I don't know things that other people know.
Are they not still? So now I can't play a song on here. So I'm going to leave it to you to listen to. What kind of music do you like?
Like country.
Oh, you're not going to like this song at all.
Okay. I'll still listen to it.
All right. Try it once. Head Like a Hole by 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
All right. So obviously we can't go down that road or that hole because you don't know what we're talking about. So your boy is being very like supportive, which is awesome. You're not that far into being married, right? Like 2 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're doing the whole thing. Everything's wrong. Nothing's going to work out the way I want it to. I'm trying my hardest. All it's doing is returning like horrible results. And how do you go to a therapist? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the therapist tell you that's helpful?
She had type 1.
Oh.
Which that was enough for me. I realized I really needed community, and I didn't have that at the time. I needed someone who understood without me having to explain, the mental toll of every day of type 1.
Right.
And so she gave me the phone number of someone she thought I would hit it off with. And I met up with this girl, and she was my first friend with diabetes. And that, I feel like, more than anything, more than the therapy, more than anything, that really started to turn it around for me.
Wow.
And I just really needed that community.
Is that legal, by the way? I don't care because it worked out really well for you. But isn't that a HIPAA violation?
Well, she asked us both.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
I see. She didn't just go like, hey, check this girl out.
Yeah, no.
Here's her Instagram handle. Just like stalk her till you can find her. It'll be great. Okay, I see. Yeah. She worked it out like a professional.
Yeah.
So she gave you a friend. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That is right.
Huh. Say, listen, I'm not super surprised by that. Like, I watch it happen in my Facebook group constantly. Mm-hmm. So as a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm saddest about is that I have to say things on Facebook like, please don't DM each other. Like, like if you have an answer, put it here, because, for every great person who wants to help somebody, there's like one nudnik in there that's trying to take advantage of people. And so in order to try to stop everybody from being taken advantage of, sometimes you end up blocking what I think could be some of the best aspects of it.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine people do it on the sly behind my back, and I act like I don't know that's happening, because almost like when people are like, I have pumps that I want to give to somebody. And I'm like, oh, you can't give away medical stuff. But I sometimes wait an hour before I say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Like, she just gave you a buddy.
Yeah.
Tell me what that did for both of you.
Yeah. For both of us. I mean, we still talk all the time. She ended up coming to my baby shower. Like, we are legit friends. Yeah. Having her was amazing. We built IAPS together. We had a little IAP back before it was, what is it now? Trio. When it was IAPS, we had a little IAPS building party. We could just text each other, like, a screenshot of our Dexcom graph and be like, today sucks. And just having that more than my husband, more than my mom, more than people who were like, yes, that sucks, but I don't understand. I don't know. That was just so important for me, just to have that understanding without me having to explain. And since then, I hope you don't kick me out of your Facebook group. I met 2 other people on Facebook through your Facebook group. One of them lives a few blocks away from me, so we hang out. And I met another girl, and we have not met in person, but I'm going to her wedding next year. And so I just feel like having diabetes as a foundation to a friendship for me has just been, I don't know. I've made such great friends that it's like unbelievable.
Carolina, me too. Listen, would you believe that the first time I met Jenny, I had probably had hundreds of hours of conversations with her before we met in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jenny and I did not like face-to-face meet for, God, 5 years of knowing each other. I just met Erica last, 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
For the first time in person. And it's such a strange thing. And I told her ahead of time, I was like, listen, Erica, it's going to be weird. She's like, yeah. And I was like, she's like, no, it won't. I'm like, it's going to be weird. I'm like, because we feel like we know each other. And then you're going to get there and there's going to be this physical aspect of it that didn't exist before. But 2 days later, she and I, at the end of a long weekend where we were both exhausted from all the talking we did, we sat and had a dinner at the end of the night. And I felt like I was talking to somebody I'd known for years because I was,
Yeah.
The internet, for all the things that it does that, I'm not always thrilled about. It really does, right? It makes the pond smaller so you can find your fish. That's pretty much it, Oh, it's awesome. So look at how you kind of low-key slipped in that you made a baby.
Yes, I did.
How old were you when you did that?
Well, I was 29. He was born 5 months ago.
Just a little baby still. Holy shit. Is this it, Carolina? Is the baby's name Scott? Is that why you're here? Come on. Is it?
Oh my God.
It's not.
I knew that was going to come up.
But it's not.
It's not.
Did you even think of it for a second?
We didn't.
Nah,
but we have a valid reason.
Well, it's a terrible name, but what else was the reason?
No, so my husband's from Italy, so we wanted an Italian name.
Oh, well, I'm adopted, and I went to 23andMe, and I'm mostly Italian. So apparently Scott is an Italian name, and you messed it up.
Now we know.
No, it's too late now, isn't it? I mean, are you going to make another baby?
Oof, not right now. Oh, I don't think so.
Oof. I have kids. I know what you meant. I'm going to get back to the making the baby part with diabetes. But before I do, these words from Jivo Kypo-Pen. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually.
I was like, are those live?
No. Can you imagine if I start doing live ads? Jivo Kypo-Pen is a. Actually, God bless Jivo. They don't make me re-record those. I don't even remember what that one says. I recorded it years ago. I could do some of the other ones off the top of my head, though. So, I don't know. I just cracked myself up now. I got to give you a second. Also, I have a day in front of me. So, I mean, election was last night. I think it was up to 3 a.m. And I'm recording with you. And then I'm recording 2 more times today. And the truth is, all I really want out of today, besides doing good recordings for you all listening, is I want to go to the grocery store and buy a half a pound of shrimp and steam it for my dinner. And I think I'm not going to be able to accomplish that. And it's pissing me off.
That sucks. Can you order it? Can it be delivered? I'm
old and I don't let people bring me groceries in their car.
Oh.
Yeah. I think you're all going to live to regret that one day. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just think one day collectively society's going to stand up and go, hey, do you remember back when we let strangers drive us around in a Corolla? Why did we do that? I don't know. Maybe not. Then again, the cars are going to drive themselves. It's not going to matter. You're not even going to have time to think back on it. So whatever.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not the point. The point is this. You got diabetes. It sucked. You got sad. You dug your way out of it through what it sounds like a really supportive young guy who was nice enough to not leave you when he found out you had diabetes. Also, by the way, I don't think there's any reason he should have. But do you know how many stories I've heard of people who did?
Yeah. I mean, I was telling him to leave me. So
tell me more.
There was that. Yeah. I was like, this sucks. I'm going to have this forever. It's super expensive. We have to max out our health plan every year. I was like, we're not going to have a baby because that baby's going to get diabetes. So that's out the window. I was like, we're young. I was like, go find someone young, healthy, and leave me here. And he just ignored me. But yeah.
He just ignored me. He's like, by the way, that's how I got my wife to marry me. She's like, I don't really like you. I'm like, I'm just going to stay. I think you do. I think it's going to be fine. Don't worry. By the way, see, that would have been a funny thing to say 20 years ago. But now everybody will get upset about it. But yeah, I just outlasted her. That's all I did.
It worked. You guys are still together, right? So.
Oh, yeah. And we're generally happy. Perfect. Wait, is generally the right word?
I think so.
Mostly.
It might be better.
Wait, you've been married for 30 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How old will you be when you're married for 30 years?
I guess I'll be 54.
I'm 53.
Oh, look at that.
Exactly. I made the same mistake you did. Is your husband your age?
He's 2 years older.
They're always older, right? Because you can't find boys your own age that are not nudniks. Am I right? Where's nudniks coming from? What am I, Yiddish all of a sudden? It's hard to find boys that aren't idiots when you're younger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I found one, and then
you're like, oh, this is good enough. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, I like you talking like a boy. Go ahead, say it again. I locked that shit up, Scott. That's what I did. How did you start your management off? It's not that long ago, right? So how long until you find CGMs? And is that something you found through your buddy or on your own?
Yeah. So I actually got a CGM super early. So I was in the hospital, and you know how they like listen to you. So I was literally getting ads for Dexcom like the next day after I got diagnosed.
Oh, yeah. Your Siri knew you had diabetes?
Yeah, literally Instagram started showing me like Nick Jonas, Dexcom. I don't remember what else, but all sorts of stuff. So
all you're making me think is that I know somebody at Dexcom in marketing. Why don't I ask them how they did that so that when people get diabetes, they get my podcast on Instagram?
Yeah, you should. They did a good job. So
okay. All right. I'll figure that out on my own. By the way, right now, there's people out there like, do not do that, you idiot. I can't afford it, obviously. I think Dexcom has a couple more dollars than I do. I almost said shekels. I am Yiddish today. By the way, Yiddish is not a person. Jewish. Speaking Yiddish, this is not my point. Okay, so you're on... What is wrong? Oh, I'm tired. Is that what's happening? We'll never know.
Till 3. So.
Yeah, that could be it. Never mind. You get your ads. What happens?
Yeah, so I get discharged from the hospital with nothing. I mean, a long-acting pen and short-acting. I get the Dexcom like a couple days later because somebody had sent in a prescription for me. Mm-hmm. And so I have a virtual meeting with an endo. I think they were like a PA. Do you feel like you can, she's like, you're a nurse. She's like, it's easy to put on. Like, do you think you can just figure this out, or do you want to come in for a class? And I was like, I want to put this on as soon as I can. Just the like 4 days of pricking my finger, that was enough for me. I was like, I'm either 40 or like 300 and I don't understand. I need something more. Mm-hmm. So she was like, okay, then just put it on and see you later. And so I put it on, and kind of from that moment on, I was like, oh my God, no one's really going to help me. I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. And so I tried. I actually got, I don't know if it was an ad, but somebody on Instagram posted about your podcast probably within that first week. And this is going to sound so bad, but the name threw me off. It made me think it was for kids or something, mm-hmm. even though she was an adult who was diagnosed at like 30. And she was like, go listen to this podcast. It's the best. And I was like, that sounds like a child podcast. It's not for me. So it took me a while to actually listen to it. But the first episode I listened to was Bold with Insulin, maybe a month or so after being diagnosed. Right. And I was like, oh my God, I need a pump. And then I did not want a tubed pump. And back in 2021, there was no algorithm except Loop mm-hmm. for the Omnipod. So, I mean, within like a month or two of diagnosis, I was like, I need to Loop. And I don't really know what that means. And I don't really know how I'm going to do this, but that is what I want. Okay. And so I had to fight with my endo's office to get the Eros pods. They really wanted me on Dash. And again, in 2021, you couldn't, Dash wasn't ready. Finally got my Eros pods. That took forever. And so I started looping in like, maybe like 4 or 5 months after diagnosis. So I wasn't on pens very long. And so I never really figured out pens. I hope I never have to go back to them. But if I do, I guess I know how to like survive, but I did not have good management. And then all of a sudden my A1C dropped. I was 11.7 at diagnosis, dropped to 6.8. And then after that, I've been in the 5s.
Oh, good for you.
So that's awesome. Yeah, it's been, I think, a combination of Loop, Trio, IAPS, and obviously your podcast, learning how to manage insulin.
It's not lost on me that I wore you down too. You're like, Juicebox, nah, f*** off. And then You're like woke up like sometime later and you're like, man, where's that podcast? This ain't going well. By the way, I imagine that's how it goes for a lot of people, to be perfectly honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see the barriers to entry. Like, I have type 1 diabetes. I'm an adult. I'm going to go to listen to a guy who doesn't have type 1 diabetes talk about how he took care of his daughter with type 1 diabetes. Like, that doesn't sound like that's me. That sounds like it's them. Until you listen, and then don't let me put the words in your mouth. When you listen to the podcast, you realized what?
Yeah, well, one, I was starting to get that community that I realized later that I really needed. So listening to the stories, especially the ones of people diagnosed as adults, was kind of my only like tangible connection to someone with type 1 at that point. So that was so helpful to me. And then the management, because I knew what I wanted. I wanted good control. And I got really lucky that when I was in the hospital, you know, we met with some of the doctors and there was a fellow there. And my husband asked her, like, what can we expect in the future, like in terms of blood sugars? What is this going to look like for us in real life? And she just like offhandedly was like, oh, I imagine like she's going to have, you know, pretty normal blood sugars, like once everything is, you know, stabilized and she gets the hang of it. And so that's what I had in my head, that like I'm going to have stable blood sugars, but I couldn't figure out how. And so when I started listening to the management episodes, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I was told was going to happen. But nobody at the endo is able to give me any tools to like make this happen. So it just gave me everything I was kind of searching for, I guess.
Well, good. Just what I wanted. Honestly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thrilled that it worked that way for you. Genuinely happy. You get your tech very quickly. You're motivated by not wanting to poke your finger. CGM. You hear about like more stable blood sugars. You think I need more control over my insulin pump. You go right to Omnipod because you don't want tubes. And then the algorithm's a leap. But why was it not a leap? Who in your life is tech savvy enough that you were like, oh, I could do that? Is it you?
I guess it's me.
Yeah. Cool. So you're not put off by any of that.
No. Here's where I'm going to sound, you know, dumb, because I was a nurse. I was in healthcare. I'm a pediatric nurse at that. I thought that's how pumps worked, that they read your blood sugar number and responded to it. So when I got diagnosed and I found out that that's not how most pumps back at that time worked, I think it was just Tandem maybe. Oh, and Medtronic. But yeah. I found out very quickly to not get Medtronic. So I, didn't consider that one. And so I was like shocked that that was not how it was. So when I found out you could do it yourself, I was like, oh, well, perfect. This solves all my problems.
That's awesome. So it was your expectation that led you to desire that stuff. You're like, this is how it should work.
Yeah.
Oh. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's awesome. Also, it should be noted that before we started recording, I joked with you like how quickly you like fixed your technical problem versus people who were like 10 years older than you who fumble around when it happens.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and get pressured and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, and like all that. But you were just like, okay, click, 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 and it was like, oh, well, she fixed that very quickly. So just generationally, you're not put off by technology either.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Let's see. I'm looking at. We skipped over that you ended up on antidepressants when you weren't feeling your best. Did that something that you kept doing, or has that stopped? How are you managing that?
I am still on that. I'm nervous to get off of it because I hated how I felt. Like I didn't feel like myself when I had all those thoughts. And so I've been nervous to get off of it, especially, considering that I was pregnant and now I have a little baby. I was like, it's probably not the best time to go off of it. So I'm hoping in the future, I'm just on like one low dose once a day to get off of it. But I feel like myself. And so I'm okay with it.
All right. Next. I mean, listen. I think what works is what's right, usually. So it's a thought in your head, though. Like, you're like, one day in the future, I might like wean myself from this and see what happens.
Yeah.
Has your doctor talked to you about it?
Whenever I get my refills, she's just like, do you want to try? Do you want refills? And I'm always like, I want a refill. And she's like, okay. See you in 6 months or whatever. Gotcha.
Well, so, I'm glad it's working for you.
Yeah.
How was it being pregnant with type 1?
It wasn't that bad, which I would never expect to say. On the other side, I thought it was going to be, it sounded so scary. But now going through it, I'm like, okay, that wasn't really that bad. I will say I did a lot of work in the front end to get a team that I thought would help me have the pregnancy that I imagined. I think I went through like 3 endos before I finally found one who would support me looping during pregnancy. That was a challenge. I had an endo who was supportive of loop, but literally was like, the second you're pregnant, you have to go off of it. And I was like, what happens if I don't go off of it? And she's like, well, you won't be compliant. We could hold your refills. I was like, ooh, that sounds terrible. Don't know if they actually would, but I was like, this is not the endo office for me.
Yeah, you're no fun. We're going to find something. Did you say to her, I'm going to be leaving?
No, I went back a second time because I felt like I was so thrown off in that conversation because she was supportive of loop.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it at all. So I went back for one more visit, hoping to have kind of an adult conversation about it, advocate for myself. And it literally, she just like said no. And I was like, you can't say no. You don't control what I do outside of here. So then after that, I left.
Good for you.
I went somewhere else. That didn't work out either. And then I finally found a third endo, and she is wonderful. And same with, finding an OBGYN. I really did not want to be induced early simply because I have diabetes. I know that happens a lot. Just for me, I was like, I want to go to at least week 40 before we talk about induction, assuming the baby and I are healthy. And so I finally found an OB who was on board with that. She was like, that's reasonable. She's like, you will have like extra monitoring. But she basically said, like, even if we schedule an induction, she's like, we don't show up to your house. It's like, so if you don't show up, like,
not much we can do.
And I was like, wow, I like you.
Yeah. You're like, I just want this baby to be like medium well before it comes out. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, I don't want it to come out too rare, and I don't want it to be tough. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Excellent. Well, what'd you end up doing?
I ended up going into labor at 39, and actually exactly at 39 on my own.
Nice.
So I'm glad that I did not agree to be induced at, 37 or 38. And
baby a good size? Were they happy with the size?
Yeah, he was 7 pounds.
He come out the natural way, or did you make a little pocket and take him out through that?
I love that. He came out the natural way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Something. There's another reason you don't want to have another baby, right?
Yes. Nope, we're good. But yeah.
Yeah, you could listen. You could be as academic as you want, understand everything. But as it's happening, you're like, what the f*** is going on?
I know. My husband was like, if somebody offered me $1 million to do that again, he's like, I would not do that.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, the fun part turned into the weird part. What's going on?
Right.
Yeah. Like,
and I was like, you were just there. You didn't do anything.
Well, what does that tell you? He's like, I wouldn't go through this again, and nothing happened to me. So, yeah, it's off-putting. I'm just going to say it. Yeah. Beautiful, miracle of life, etc., and so on. But what the hell? Am I right?
Yeah. No, it's... Ugh.
People ask me, how do you know there's not a God? I'm like, if there was, there'd be a zipper on the side of a lady, and that's where the baby would come out from. I mean, duh.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, right? Zip, here. Zip, done. I mean, if we're engineering this thing, why go with that?
Yeah. No, seriously.
Right? Also, why doesn't pee come out of the tip of your pinky? How great would that be if you just walked over to something and you're like,
convenient.
Yeah, I'm making a lot of sense. I'm just saying, if this is on purpose, maybe they could have thought it over for another week or two.
Yeah.
Before me getting sick meant boogers getting in my nose. Like, I mean, was there not another way?
True.
You know what I'm saying.
I do.
Where are you from?
It's the worst.
What part of the country? Did you say Chicago?
Chicago.
All right. Okay. It's the worst. Boogers.
Chicago's the worst?
No, boogers are the worst.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we can definitely call the episode Boogers Are the Worst, can't we?
People might not listen to it.
Oh, no. Them. They'll listen. I've set my expectations up in a way where they're like, it doesn't matter what it's called. Can I loop back around to the thing I wasn't sure if I was going to say or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Is part of my charm, and this is me leading you by saying I'm charming because you might not find that I am, but is part of why you like the podcast? That's not the question. Once you were like, okay, I'm going to listen to a podcast and it's going to be from the dad of a girl who has diabetes, right? And then there's this expectation, right? That it's a parent. I'm going to be like all high voiced and like, oh my God, everything's great or everything's terrible or like that. But like when you jumped on and you're like, this is just a person talking to me. Like I would listen to this podcast if it wasn't about diabetes. Did that happen to you, first of all? And if so, was it surprising? Or am I making this up and I'm wrong? Like, I feel like people must jump on here and be like, well, this is not what I expected.
It was not what I expected.
Okay.
But I will say the first episodes I listened to it was definitely Bold with Insulin and then like some management episodes, because back then you didn't have all your lovely helpers on the Facebook group. And so somebody just randomly posted like, if you're newly diagnosed, try out these episodes. And it was like a picture of like a note card with like handwritten episodes.
Yeah.
And so that's the list I went off of because you had so many at the time. I mean, now you have even more, but you had so many.
There's going to be more. Hold tight, Carolina. We're making a podcast here. There's going to be like 1,000 more by the time you look up again, but go ahead.
So I feel like I wanted the management and I wanted the diabetes. So I didn't even think about the fact that I would probably listen if it wasn't about diabetes because I was searching for diabetes.
So is that unfair of me? Like, or in hindsight, if I started making a podcast about something else and it wasn't like something that you hated, do you think you'd listen?
I don't listen to podcasts except yours. So I'm probably a bad person to ask this question too.
That's interesting. But you do listen to mine like a podcast though. Like you like, oh, someone's here to talk about they used meth. I'll listen to that. Like you do listen to it like a podcast. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I drew you in.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I tricked my wife. This is awesome. I'm glad to know it works in other forms of life. It just occurs to me that, I mean, if you said to me, I'm going to listen to something that's made by the parent of a child with a chronic illness, I would not expect for someone at 30 minutes into a conversation to refer to childbirth as you turned the fun part into the weird part.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like the podcast.
Oh, yeah. And that's why you keep listening. Because in the beginning, I was looking for the management. I was looking for the diabetes. Like I really needed that.
Mm-hmm. But you wanted to get in and get out.
Yeah.
Right.
I would have stopped listening. But now it's entertaining. It's nice to hear about people's different walks of life. And yeah, the conversations are casual, they're entertaining, they go all over the place. I never know, like when I click on an episode, I'm like, oh, what's going to happen in this one?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, good podcast. I'm
just following my heart. Seriously. I'm doing something later today. I'm recording with Eversense. Actually, I'm gonna record about the Eversense 365 that came out. So the new implant, the implantable CGM now lasts a year. And so I'm having somebody on from the company to talk about it. And the person who sets it up is like very cool with how I am, which is awesome because some companies will be like, well, what are you going to ask? And what are you going to talk about? And and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I think that like, they think that's like a facade, like because the podcast does run very well. Right. And it is popular. So I think they must think that like behind the scenes, I'm like all Machiavellian. I'm like, today I'll talk about this. And tomorrow I swear to you, like a week from now, there's going to be an After Dark episode on a Friday and then another one on a Monday. I didn't do that. I just was like, actually, when I found that that's how I set it up, I was like, what the hell did I do that for? That was dumb. Like, so I'm not planning anything. I really don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't look at your notes before we start talking.
You don't?
No, I don't look at the note that you sent until like we're into the conversation.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, why did we fill that out?
No, you filled it out because like also I want to make sure you're a real person and stuff like that. Also, honestly, it's your relationship with diabetes. Have you been on a podcast in the last 6 months because another type 1 podcast? Because I wouldn't want you to come. Like, I'm not looking to like regurgitate some conversation that somebody already had. So, and then what are some common themes that you want to talk about? Is basically once we start talking, my assumption is you have things in your heart you want to get out. And I don't want to like steamroll you and miss them. Mm-hmm. And as you're seeing today, I could easily be a little sleepy and then go off on a tangent. And then you don't get to tell me your story. And other people will enjoy it when they listen. But I don't want you to get shortchanged, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Having the baby with Loop, not so bad.
Yeah, I was on IAPS for my pregnancy.
Not so bad.
It really wasn't that bad. I mean, I had an easier time managing my blood sugars when I was pregnant than I do now postpartum. I know that's not always the case for everyone, but that's how I personally found it. Mm-hmm. Postpartum, I'm almost 5 months out and I think I'm having like the worst blood sugars I've had since I figured out what I was doing.
Okay. Are you breastfeeding?
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of it, do you think?
I think so. Especially in the beginning, anytime he would eat, I would just crash. Like crash, just double arrows down. So I would have to eat like while he's eating without taking insulin.
Do you drop crumbs on him when that's happening by any chance?
Oh yeah, he's had all sorts of things on him.
Cleavage crumbs must be the worst, no?
They're so uncomfortable.
I would think. Yeah.
Yeah. The worst.
I'm just imagining you like you're just chowing down and the stuff's like falling on the kid. You're like, listen, I'm gonna pass out if I don't do this. There's nothing. Are you just flicking them off of him? How does it go exactly?
I usually pick them off and eat them. It's fine.
Awesome. Ooh, look at that big piece. What do you eat to help keep your blood sugar up while you're breastfeeding?
It was like bars for the most part. Flour bars, Kind bars. Whatever I could get my hands on. It wasn't usually like fast acting, maybe a little bit of fast acting, but I tried to circumvent by something that would keep me a little more stable.
Yeah. So breastfeeding with type 1 is sort of like going for a run. You just got a carb load in the beginning and put something in there that's not going to digest very quickly. You're going to need it in there to hold you up for a while. How long's the impact after the breastfeeding?
That part of my life is such a blur because it's gotten better. Like okay. I'm definitely more stable now than I was, the first month postpartum. Mm-hmm. I just remember my husband waking me up all the time and he'd be like, sorry, but like you're 35, you're low. I was constantly low. Right.
Don't die. I don't want to take care of this baby by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus, I should have left her. She said, you can leave. Where was I? So it sounds like very hormonal. So you didn't have as many hormonal impacts during the pregnancy as you did in the weeks after it.
Yeah. I never, I feel like I hear I joined on some like Facebook groups and type 1 in pregnancy. And, I read a lot. I read Jenny's book. Mm-hmm. And so I know some people are like on a 1-to-1 by the end of pregnancy. And I was terrified because sometimes some parts of the day I'm like 1-to-5. So I have like a relatively stronger, carb ratio. So I was terrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up on U200. This is going to be crazy. But I never got there. Okay. Like I think 1-to-4 was like my strongest carb ratio during pregnancy.
Are your blood sugars after pregnancy more like before or no, they're different?
They're different. I just feel like I'm having a harder time timing my insulin than I used to. And I can't figure that out. So things that I used to have, I'd be like, okay, I enter this many carbs, this much fat, this much protein. I pre-bolus 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. I had these meals figured out. I cannot figure them out.
I'm sorry to ask like this. Is your weight different than it was before you got pregnant?
No, I'm basically back to my pre-pregnancy.
Oh, show off.
Weight.
I mean, that's nice. No, good for you. That's excellent. So I was just wondering if like your ratios were off and because of that, but that's not the case. So
yeah.
Do you think it's hormonal?
I think it might be. I still have not gotten my period back since having the baby. So I assume there's some hormone somewhere in my body doing something. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the timing of it. So I don't know if my digestion is different or maybe that's related to milk production. I don't know. But yeah, the timing, I think it's the timing rather than the amount.
Okay.
But I can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah. But you think it's normalizing slowly as time passes?
It does feel that way.
Okay.
Now my nights, most of the nights I don't get Dexcom alerts. For a long time I did, especially low ones. Mm-hmm. So that's been nice.
Yeah, that's tough. Overnights are plus the baby, right? How old does he even sleep at this point?
Yeah, he did till he turned 4 months. And now we have a fun 4-month regression.
Oh, it's gone backwards?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, buddy, go to sleep. Go to sleep. I'm losing my mind. Like that? Or is that about where we're at now?
Kind of.
Yeah.
He sleeps with me now, and my husband's in the guest room. So that's where we're at. That's how we're surviving right now.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Because your husband can't go to work if he's near what's going on. Oh, I see why you're not having another baby. There's a lot of reasons. I got you. It'll happen to you probably. You just wake up one day and you'll be like, hey, honey, you know what we should do? And he's going to be like, go on vacation. And you're going to go, no. I think we should give away all the money that we were going to spend on that vacation and make another baby because our son needs a sibling or something ridiculous like that you're going to say.
Oh, my God.
God bless everybody. You're all in trouble. By the way, good luck paying for college. I just want to say that, too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. No, it's probably going to have you already saved a couple of $1 million? So you'll be all right if you have.
I wish.
No, you haven't? Oh, no. Oh my God. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Arden, by the way, it's like at some point today, she's like, I just looked into baking school. And I was like, oh, if you want to drop out of college, that'd be awesome.
Support that.
Yeah, I'm fully behind that. I would also write you a check for a few $1,000s to help you get on your way. What do you think of that? Like, let's get you out of here. I'm sorry, you're a nurse. And can I ask what your husband does?
He's an engineer.
Oh, I didn't know this about you. Is your dad an engineer too?
No, my dad's a construction worker.
Interesting.
Contractor.
Do they think similarly, the two of them?
No.
No. Okay.
Why?
How do you like being married to like an engineering mind?
I like it. My dad was a business owner. And so I was like, I want somebody who works a 9 to 5 and is, I mean, you own a business, so it's.
I mean, I was working last night at 9:30. I don't know what I was doing. I'm like up here. I'm just like hammering away. Kelly's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to make money. And it's just like, I mean, you want to be able to pay the bills, right? Like, yeah, no, it's a terrible feeling. So, okay. So you're looking for a guy who's going to be around a little more.
Yeah, except he is now a consultant. So he works 800 hours a week. So it did not work out for me, but I gave it my best try.
I chose poorly, Scott. Okay. What else do you want to talk about? What else is on your list here? What are you thinking about?
I mean, I think we covered most of the things. I think I just wanted to say how helpful it was to have community. Definitely advocating for yourself. I feel like I see, especially in the pregnancy and type 1 groups, like, oh, my doctor said I have to do this. And, people do it. I put a lot of time and effort into picking physicians who would support the pregnancy I wanted and the birth I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I think that was worth all the effort. And so I think sometimes people just forget that you don't have to stay with that doctor just because that's the one that you live closest to. And I know I'm in Chicago, so I have a lot of doctors to choose from. But if anybody's, kind of on the fence of should I stay with this doctor or should I not, it's okay to leave them. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I felt bad leaving. They're so nice. But at the end of the day, like, you have to look out for yourself and your family. I'm so grateful because I think my pregnancy would have been way more stressful and a way different experience if I hadn't done all that work up front. So yeah, just wanted to, I guess, encourage anyone who was thinking about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Are you an only child?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I figured it out. Never mind. I got you. I don't know where at 24 years old, 26 years, that age, like where you get your first response is just like, whoa, nope, I'm going somewhere else. I was trying to figure out, like, why did you have such like a clear vision of yourself and what you would be willing to accept? And that I thought, oh, probably a only child plus immigrant parents, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, working hard. They weren't looking to right? They're not trying to repopulate the world. They're trying to get their feet under them. So it made sense to me. And you speak like you're older than you are.
Oh, interesting.
As you're talking, if you told me you were, 40, I'd believe that easily. So not because you sound old, but because you're sure of yourself and measured. Does that make sense?
That's nice to hear.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. Well, then I meant it as a compliment.
It was not.
I know I didn't mean it in any special way, but since you took it that way, I definitely meant it. No, I mean, it is a compliment, and it's but indicative of someone who's an only child.
Yeah, that's interesting.
My son's girlfriend's an only child. Like, she doesn't accept bullshit. It's just very simple. And I was an only child for 5 years, and I have a bit of that myself. I was just trying to figure out, like, the whole time you've been talking, I've been in the back of my mind thinking about, like, what makes a young, pregnant, almost newly diagnosed type 1 say, like, be so self-assured in the face of doctors telling them something, especially because the doctor was very curt with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, well, we can talk about it. No, it's not going to work out. It was, no, if you do that, you'll be non-compliant and we'll withhold your medication.
Yeah.
And you were like, or fuck you. And then you left. And I was like, oh, awesome. Because a lot of people would go, okay, well, I won't do that then.
Yeah. Maybe some of it is because I'm a nurse. So like, I also know that doctors are human because I've worked with so many doctors over the years. Right. So. Yeah,
my wife says that. My wife works with a lot of medical people. She said to me one time, she goes, oh, doctors, some of the dumbest people I know are doctors. But it's not because they're doctors. She just realized they're people. And and they can be wrong or, influenced by how they feel or things they think that, might not be what you think. It's just really awesome that you were just like, no, I'm just going to go find somebody else. I'm going to do this. Look what you got out of it. you had what you describe as not a bad pregnancy with type 1, which I think is, I mean, that's like saying rainbows and sunshine, not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever go back to that doctor and go like, oh, I just wanted to let you know how wrong you are?
No.
Look at you.
I wish.
Very mature. It's awesome.
And a photo.
Yeah, a photo of the kid with a note that just says, hey, I just wanted to let you know how wrong you were about everything. My pregnancy went great. It's very easy to manage with IEPS. I carried the baby just about to completely full term, all by myself, in case you're wondering. And also, like, I know who you are a little bit. Like, you're a tinier person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So, like, that baby gets in there, gets pretty big. And you were like, nah, I can hold it in forever. Don't you worry. You were wrong. Go away. Thank you. Carolina. Yeah. Pronounced. and then write it out phonetically. But I'm petty. So, I'm actually not petty, but I would have thought all those things.
Oh, I thought a lot of things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
It's good to know I'm not petty. Seriously, I would have laughed, but I'm older. Like, if at this point, if a doctor would say something like that to me, I'd go, oh, you're serious. Okay, never mind. Just most people don't get into that situation. They get that white coat syndrome when they get in there and they're scared. And not you, though, huh? Were you in there by yourself during these conversations, or was your husband with you?
Oh, I was by myself.
All right, I like you. Okay. All right. You're allowed to be on the podcast. This is awesome.
Oh, great.
All right, well, let's end strong.
Well, I will say, before we go, the one thing you didn't ask me was autoimmune in my family.
Oh, you're Polish. I just assumed celiac. And hold on, what else did I assume? Celiac, thyroid. Am I right?
Kind of. I have thyroid. I have Hashimoto's. Mm-hmm. My mom has lupus.
Oh, wasn't on my bingo card today, but it could have been on a different day. Go ahead.
Yep. And then her brother, so my uncle, this is pretty recent. He was diagnosed with MS, I want to say like a year or two ago.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Up until then, it was just my mom that we knew of, then me, and now my uncle.
No celiac?
I'm gluten-free, but I don't know if I'm actually celiac.
Oh. Why are you gluten-free? You trying to be trendy, or did your belly hurt?
Yeah. After I got my wisdom teeth removed back in high school, I got like super sick and I was losing a lot of weight and we couldn't figure out why. And so we were trying diet things and I went gluten-free and I felt a lot better.
Don't go getting tested. Find out Scott was right. Okay. Let's just let that be a mystery.
We decided it doesn't change anything. I will be gluten-free either way. Yeah. So what's the point of actually finding out?
Yeah, I hear you. Is that part of your trouble with your blood sugars? Like, are you eating, because I know a lot of gluten-free foods can be carbier. Maybe,
but I've been gluten-free the whole time I've, had type 1. So I don't know it any other way.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why would it matter? It's hormonal or something. Something in there is messing with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, get that kid to drink a diet Fresca or something instead of your, what you're making for him. And I think maybe a lot of your stuff goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Diet Fresca. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Am I having a stroke?
Is there a regular Fresca? I don't actually know what Fresca is.
Well, first of all, Fresca is a terrible soda that was for sale when I was young. I don't know if it's still for sale or not.
Okay.
Was there a diet Fresca? I mean, we can look.
I'm Googling Fresca right now.
Yeah, damn right you are.
I need to see what it looks like.
From the Coca-Cola bottling company. Now it's a sparkling flavored soda.
Oh, so does it have carbs?
No, it's soda. I don't think it does. Wait, hold on a second. Oh, because you said sparkling. I see what you're saying. Hold on, I'm looking. Boy, anything you click on takes you to Amazon. This Bezos guy, huh? He must be doing all right.
AI overview says it was introduced in 1966 and is a sugar-free diet soda.
Oh, it's a diet Fresca.
Yep.
There you go.
Now we know.
Yeah, what do we know exactly? Not much. I'm laughing in my mind thinking of you listening to Head Like a Hole later. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Is it really? Are you really going to do it?
Well, I have to, right?
Well, I feel like you and I could listen to it now at the end, but then I'd edit it out and then afterwards just ask you what you thought. But I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Never mind. It seems like a lot of work. As I said all that, I was like, f that. I'm not doing all that. Maybe we got to listen to the song, then we got to wait, and then you got to tell me what you think. And the editor's got to take out the part while it just seemed like a lot. I was just like, never mind. We don't give a shit what she thinks about this song.
And I'll probably hate it, so we don't all have to listen to that.
What kind of country music do you like? Like, what's your go-to right now?
I have a baby. I just type in hot country hits, and then they play.
Are you?
I don't have a lot of time to.
Well, now you sound 40 for real, by the way. You're like, I let the machine tell me. Like, so, wait, like more like Jelly Roll or more like Luke Bryan?
Like Luke Bryan. Poppy country. Yeah.
So more like poppy pickup truck songs.
Yes.
All right.
Those are the best.
Listen, I'm all right with that. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if I wasn't? Can you imagine if right now, after all these episodes of the podcast, I just like sat up on my chair, steeled my spine and said, listen to me. I can't believe these are the songs you're listening to. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I don't give a shit what you listen to. But I just wasn't sure if you were like where you were like falling. Your whole life country music?
I'm not that picky. So like whatever's on the radio, I'm usually like, oh, this is catchy. So I just like catchy things.
Okay.
Faster music, catchy things. I'm less of like a slow listen to the words.
Would you listen to a Taylor Swift bop?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be. Well, do you know she started as a country artist?
I do know that, yes.
Oh, finally we found something that happened recently enough that you're aware of it. And I don't sound like I'm about to die. Why does he keep saying things I don't understand? I interviewed somebody recently and they said, can I be honest, Scott? I don't understand a lot of your references. I like it when Arden says to me, like, what's a good example? She's like, you know that Dua Lipa song? And I go, what? And like, is that a person? And she's like, yeah, you know who it is. And I go, no, I don't. My wife will be like, you know this song. And I go, I do not know this song. And she goes, no, you've heard this before. And I'm like, no, I have not. I do not know this song. And she's, like, I only hear stuff if it breaks through for like weird social reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if, what is that WAP song? Like that, I was like, wait, what's going on? Like that made it to me. But do you even know what that is?
I don't.
Wait, hold on a second. This is going to have to get bleeped out. Oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, don't make me say it. You're a young mother. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Now I got it.
Okay.
Yes, now I know.
All right. Like that made it to me because I was like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
In fairness, if you said to me right now, gun to your head, sing that song, I'd be like, I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? I couldn't
sing it either.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
I don't know
good.
if that helps or not, but
I think it's good. Do you think we could be friends even though we're 23 years apart?
I feel that way.
I do too. It's awesome. That just makes me feel young, by the way. It's got nothing to do with you. I'm like, I can still hang. I know I can. The minute my hair is not dark, I fear for how I'm going to feel about myself. I feel like it's the only.
Do you dye your hair?
No, I don't, by the way.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just saying I have nice dark hair. And I think that the minute it lightens, like if it goes to gray, I feel like it's my superpower right now. It's the only thing that allows me to like, when people say I feel like I'm 12 inside my whole life, like I really do feel like that. But I think people do get to an age sometime where they just give up on that part. And I don't see a time where that's going to happen for me so far. And I just think that like all this silliness, if I was gray, would be weird. I know that sounds super strange, but I think it would be weird.
Yeah.
You don't care though, right?
It'll be interesting when it happens to see how you feel. What's
the cutoff for when you go, I can no longer listen to a podcast made by a 65-year-old? Like, where's the number where you're just like, what am I doing?
I don't know. I mean, as long as you keep bringing on the guests and all the Dexcom people, I feel like we're all sticking around.
I can do whatever I want. All right.
Yeah.
I'm done. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I've been holding off buying a new enclosure for my chameleon because I always feel like I want to tell you, like when you make content for a living, which I hate talking about like this way, but it's what I do. There's this like feeling in the back of your head constantly where you're like, this can't last much longer, right? You know what I mean? Like this has got, and now it's a decade. I've been literally making this podcast for 10 years.
Wow.
But I'm not like, I grew up broke. So I just want to buy a new enclosure for my chameleon. And I'm like, it seems like a waste of money. Because like this podcast thing, like I'm going to have to go get a real job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but maybe not. All right. I'm just going to put that out there to everybody. I would like to not get a real job. So if you can all keep listening, I think that would be awesome. Thank you very much. All right, Carolina.
We're all sticking around.
Help me say, I want to try to say your name the way your dad says it.
Okay.
Help me one more time. I'm very bad speaking phonetically, but go.
Yeah. Carolina.
Carolina? No.
Yeah, that was close.
It was close. It wasn't good, though. Why? It's back of your throat. Carolina? No. Front of your throat. Carolina? No. Fuck, I lost it. I'm so bad at this.
The first A is different. It's Carolina.
Carolina. Like car? No.
Carolina.
Oh, Carolina.
Yeah.
More in that bounce. All right, I'm not doing
Yes.
that. But does your husband call you that?
I don't know what he calls me. What a great question.
Go ahead. What does your husband call you? Let's figure it out before we go. Because whatever he calls you is the name of the episode. Go.
No, I think he just calls me like Carol or Caro or something like that.
Like the syrup that people put on pumpkin pie?
I don't know that
There's
one.
no fucking way you knew that one either. All right. Caro is a corn syrup, which I think is really not good for you. So my dad was a Pennsylvania Dutch. Like, I know it's not a thing you know about. It doesn't matter. Like, think Amish, but not that serious. Okay. Okay. They eat like the strangest things. So when Thanksgiving rolled around, my grandmother would make pumpkin pies from scratch.
Okay.
And then they would pour dark Caro syrup on it and then a little whipped cream. And I have a small jar of dark Caro syrup in my house all year long for the time when I put a tablespoon of it on a slice of pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Now, if you Google this, you will look at it and think, oh, Scott, I don't think that's a thing you should put in your body.
No, I'm Googling it right now.
Yes.
It looks a little scary to me.
Oh, don't get me wrong. But if you put a little bit of that dark on pumpkin pie with whipped cream and eat it and don't love it, I don't understand you. Now,
Okay.
I think the craziest thing we've learned by clicking on carosyrup.com is that Tia Mowry is their spokesperson.
Oh,
Do you know who that is?
yes. But I'm not actually on their website. I was just on like a grocery store.
From Sister Sister.
Yes. I see her now. I did know Sister, so there's
Hold on.
something I know.
More crazily, am I right about this? I think it's possible that I once moderated an online chat that she or her sister was in for a diabetes org. And just now when I Googled her name to see if I was right, I've learned that her daughter's name is Cairo.
Oh,
So Caro, Karo, her daughter's name Cairo. I think that's Cairo, right? And
Yeah.
then I think I've spoken to her or her sister at some point.
that's wild. Are they
This-
related to diabetes?
I don't know. Now I'm trying to figure it out because I don't remember why they were there. But I don't. It was some diabetes org, and they reached out to me to moderate their thing. So Tia had gestational when she was pregnant.
Oh,
I wonder if it's so long ago. I don't
that might
remember.
be why.
Awesome. I don't know what to call this episode now. We'll
I'm
figure it out.
excited to find out.
Yeah, I mean, me too. All right. I'm going to let you go. It feels like you have to go breastfeed something. So, do you? Is that coming up?
I'm at work, so
Oh, you have a job. You're trying to get back to work.
yeah.
All right. Go do your thing. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Having an easy-to-use and accurate blood glucose meter is just one click away. ContourNext.com/juicebox. That's right. Today's episode is sponsored by the Contour Next Gen Blood Glucose Meter. Touched by Type 1 sponsored this episode of the Juicebox podcast. Check them out at touchedbytype1.org on Instagram and Facebook. Give them a follow. Go check out what they're doing. They are helping people with type 1 diabetes in ways you just can't imagine. US Med sponsored this episode of the Juicebox podcast. Check them out at usmed.com/juicebox or by calling 888-721-1514. Get your free benefits check and get started today with US Med. Hey, thanks for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your loyalty and listenership. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox podcast. The Diabetes Variables series from the Juicebox podcast goes over all the little things that affect your diabetes that you might not think about. From travel and exercise to hydration and even trampolines. Juiceboxpodcast.com. Go up in the menu and click on Diabetes Variables. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.